Kite Man. We're going to talk about Batman, but Kite Man specifically this issue. So this was the second of the two Kite Man issues of War Jokes and Riddles, and much like, I mean, it wasn't maybe as hard hitting as the last one, but it still had some hard hitting elements, especially towards the end. The narration wasn't exactly cheery. It was him remembering this conversation with his son, who was killed in the last issue that he had focused on him, and it's him trying to sort of explain to his son why his mother called him a joke. And explain that he's maybe not a joke, or maybe he is a joke, and because ultimately his son keeps asking, and he eventually's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm a joke, but we're all kind of jokes. You have to laugh with them, or because if you don't, then you're just being laughed at,
and you're not part of it." And
so
it parallels what he goes through this, because throughout the issue, we see that Batman has picked a side.
Look at him going straight there. He wants the credit. He wants to rub it in, so he's going straight there.
But you see how slowly Riddler's forces have overtaken Joker, to the point that it's really only Joker and Kite Man left. And it's kind of the reason that Kite Man is allowed to keep going is because he is a joke. Like, no one can take him seriously. He's just a dude with a kite. And, compared to the last issue where you saw him getting motivated to join this because Riddler had poisoned that kite strain of his son's. And he kind of, it's not necessarily an arc, but you think that he's going to have this almost heroic display, and it turns out, no, he's still just Kite Man.
He's still just Kite Man. Yeah, as you were getting at, though, Batman did pick a side, and it's introduced in a pretty fun way with a joke, where they're talking about, because it's this Kite Man, and is it Tweedledum? Yeah.
Yep.
And they're talking about, oh, we're worried about this next fight with Riddler's army, and Kite Man says, yeah, but like no one hits harder than Batman. Who could Riddler have that hits as hard as Batman? Turn the page, and Batman's got a Riddler symbol on his arm, and he's punching him in the face.
Kind of uncomfortable with Batman with the armband on, like.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
might be going beyond that. Yeah.
It was green, and it's a big question mark on it. If anything, it's what you'd wear if you're like the confused party.
Can we just take a moment to go back to that first page and notice all the penguins with cameras on their heads?
Penguins with cameras on their heads. Yeah, that's
it's straight from Tim Burton.
It is, but I love it.
Yeah.
So just don't want that to be overlooked.
Well,
I feel like we're going to get into Kite Man, we're going to get into Batman, and I want to mention the penguins.
Well, it's also like, what's Penguin up to? Because we saw him early into this, where Joker basically said, "You're on my side." So. But yeah, we haven't seen him like we've seen some of the others.
He's supplying security, clearly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
Yeah, so obviously Kite Man informs Joker that Batman has picked Riddler's side. And then from there we basically get this series of scenes of different villains either explaining that they fought Batman as part of this war, or finding out. In fact, the funniest is probably Mr. Freeze, who's with Kite Man. He's like, "Oh, you worry too much, my kited friend." And then the Batarang sort of cracks in front of his helmet.
I have this down to a science.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, well, okay, we're losing." That's basically his response when he sees the Batarang.
It's good.
That was really funny. I really like the page with the ventriloquist. There's just the blooming sort of blue kind of light of the water splashing on them. So it's a really pretty page.
Yeah, it is.
And it's also, it ties back into the second arc in Suicide, because we've seen Wesker without Scarface. So it's like, has he been without him this whole time? Is King planning a story now with Ventriloquist?
Yeah, maybe he's planting seeds for...
I'd be down for it. I think King could do it justice.
Yeah, we also have a really interesting scene with Two-Face, actually, which I actually like more from just sort of like subtly exploring the effects of Batman getting involved. The idea that Batman's condition for signing up to help Riddler is that no one on his side can kill anymore. And you have Two-Face arguing with himself, as Two-Face is known to do, about how he's not supposed to be killing anyone now because Batman's on their side. And I thought that was an interesting dynamic, because it makes sense. Of course Batman would say, like, okay, like, I'm joining up, we're going to win this, but ain't no killing.
Yeah, I also like that you never see Two-Face. He's off screen or off panel.
Yeah, so time. I think there's one wide shot and he's in silhouette, but you never see like detail on him or anything like that.
And the way they handle that too is like one is talking on the top panel, and then in the reflection, because they're on top of this bridge, it looks like they're in a park, and then the other one, I think it's Two-Face answers Harvey about it, and it's just really well done.
Yeah. And I like it goes to Cluemaster and Kite Man, like, because at this point, so basically the idea is that all these villains have been taken out by Batman as he goes along, and it's him and Cluemaster's like, right, okay, well, Batman, this is a good development, because if we try to leave Joker, he'd kill us. If we try to go back to Riddler, he'd kill us for not picking him in the first place. So now Batman can just win, and we can sneak away, and everything's okay. That's the plan.
It's good logic.
It's good logic. Then he has an encounter with Scarecrow, which has some fun. And that's I actually love the page after that when he's like he's just lying, playing dead almost on like the side of the road at the bridge, and it's just like this like series of all these wide panels of him like trying to stand up, and he's like grabbing onto the fence, trying to like prop himself back up, because you can actually tell that it's getting harder and harder for him to stand back up. He keeps getting beat down. And he keeps struggling to get back up.
I think the art's so strong that when he's walking away at the end, you can kind of tell he's doing that like shuffling limp.
I'm over it. This is it. I feel like we're going to be getting a turn out of Kite Man where, even if it wasn't intended, I feel like King's gotten a love of this character, and I can kind of see him showing up in a supporting role, kind of like Dini did with Riddler as the type of detective.
Honestly, I can see it going even further, and at least in the sense of it won't just be that he flirts with being a hero. I could actually see him becoming a full-on like force for good. I could see that being like a development.
He is clearly the successor to the Cowl.
I didn't mean like that. I just mean like when Bendis was writing Daredevil, we would get checked in with the guy that would make the costumes. I forget what his hero or his villain name was. He's like that Roman guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he makes the stills.
Yeah, but we would check in with him, and Daredevil helped him with his daughter and stuff, and I just feel that's what type of tone I'm getting from Kite Man here is why build him like this? We have these two issues of the Ballad of Kite Man just to not do anything with him.
Yeah, I can see more being done with him. I can see him becoming more of a sort of ally who
he's
too good.
He's too tragic and almost pathetic to be a proper villain, isn't he?
Yeah, and I can almost see that being the point of like, okay, I'm going to fight on the other side because maybe I can do some good. It's like, because I can almost see the argument, because if Batman like ever like, just talks to him about it, he's like, look, your son was killed by a criminal. Like, use that rage, use that passion, and do something good with it. Like, I can see the discussion happening in my head.
Yeah, clearly he's good at making kites, right? Or else Joker wouldn't have gone to him.
What a weird thing to say about someone. Clearly he's good at making kites.
So he has one thing he's really good at, so it shows that he has focus. And that's also the through line here is his son's like, I could never get the kite to fly.
Do you reckon he could design Batman a really cool new cape?
Or something.
Well, we see Kite Man flying in this with just like a single like kite
right,
glider.
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like we know Batman's capes, it's like whatever, but like, could it be cooler? Could it be better if Kite Man got a hold of it? It was like, right, I can make you fly for longer, or whatever.
He wouldn't need to use those grapples anymore. He would just float around.
Yeah.
On air currents.
I feel like we need someone who actually understands physics to chime in here and say why this is bollocks. Just
tell us that we're wrong. Yeah.
Comics from the Multiverse, masters of science.
Yeah. Now, of course, you have that thing where Joker's talking about how successful they all are, and then it cuts to just Kite Man on his own, sitting in this auditorium with no one else there. And then I love the fight after this, because Batman's fighting Kite Man, and he's just saying, like, please stay down. Like, he's stay down, please. Like, it's actually a really powerful kind of little fight. And that's kind of what finally brings Kite Man in. He's finally, brought in himself. And he's in this interrogation room. We end the little story with the kid where, you have to laugh with them and all the rest of it. And I actually think this scene at the end, where Batman's there, but it's actually Riddler comes in, and Riddler comes in to interrogate him, and he's like, alright, so you're going to be... you're going to be willing to help us and tell us where Joker is. You're basically going to flip and be an informant. And I think the most powerful panel of the entire book. So Batman's behind Riddler over the shoulder. You don't see him in every panel. You see him in the center panels. And the first one is just over the shoulder. He's like in complete sort of shadow silhouette. You can see a little bit of detail in the head, but he's just this presence behind him. The one in the middle of the page, where Riddler says, "Even after I killed your boy, you'd still squeal." I love that panel because Riddler's again, all in shadow, but you see the smile. But behind him, you see Batman. And I love that because for Batman's character, it kind of shows how hard this is. That he's just heard Riddler say, yeah, I just killed your son. And quite recently, and Batman's working with him.
I think it's really notable that on that bit of Batman, you see less of him because he looks further away than in the top center panel. But the eyes are lit up here. Like you can feel him staring at Riddler.
Yeah,
well, it's Riddler's like pride that's coming before the fall.
Yeah, and that's also the panel where Riddler looks most like Joker. You know, with the hat and the grin. It's very Killing Joke sort of image, isn't it?
And you feel the discomfort from Batman in this scene. Doesn't say a word, but you feel it.
No, because it looks like he's pulling away a little bit. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, and this whole thing with Joker was like anarchy and Riddler was fascism. It's it's order versus chaos, and right now order's won. But that's the thing with chaos; it's never truly solved. So, and that's what makes a joke versus a riddle, is that the joke's unexpected. Yeah. So, just playing more into that whole theme that we talked about the last issue.
Yeah, we actually end this Kite Man issue with the same words. It ends with Kite Man, hell yeah. But in this case, it's Riddler basically saying, you're pathetic, you're this, you're that, and Kite Man chimes in with Kite Man, and then Riddler sarcastically says, hell yeah.
But it also, so I've always thought of Riddler kind of as this, he's only kind of a villain because he has this mania, like he has to commit crimes and leave clues. This has totally rewritten that for me. So there's no way, like, this guy can ever be saved. He's that far gone. Whereas you have, like, Ivy and Two-Face, or they might work on the side of the Angels.
It's funny that you did mention that Dini stuff with Riddler as the detective, where he was kind of noble. He was kind of in the same way that the Sirens were kind of reformed. They weren't necessarily heroes, but they were all right. And Riddler was kind of like that for a good while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, here it seems very much that in Rebirth we're setting up now Riddler is this version of the character. He is irredeemable.
Yeah, which he needed, because there hasn't been that very many like standout Riddler issues or even stories.
Yes, been a while, certainly.
Yeah, so that's good. And I don't necessarily think Joker's. I hate myself for this. Had the last laugh, right? Or Joker has the last laugh because Riddler's right there.
Don't feel bad for that, Matt.
Yeah.
Cherish it. Be proud of it.
No, that's all right. I feel Connor staring daggers at me.
No, it's all right. Matt doesn't do it often enough. He gets to do one every so often.
Because I just feel like that Joker's not going down without Batman.
That's it. He's down to just Joker, but you still get the feeling it's like, all right, what's he got left? What's his one last hurrah?
He's a cornered animal, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that's exactly where he wanted to be. Because Joker, we all know Joker doesn't play well with others.
I'm really fascinated as where this is going now, because we're down to just Joker, but we have 2 issues of the main story left. Yeah. So I'm really fascinated to see where we're going with these last 2 issues, and how does this war end, and what effect does it have? What is the? I mean, you already get that Batman feels guilty for even working with Riddler up until this point, but what is the final big thing that he's really ashamed about? The reason why he's been telling this story to Selina through this arc.